What's up gamers, Cryptico here, and welcome back to Lowering the Mark, a show where I analyze the current and former world records of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe time trial runs to see how these records get faster over time. We'll look at elements such as the loadout, racing lines, and mushroom usage to better understand what's bringing these times down. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to my channel and hit the notification bell to be the first to know when my videos go live. For today's episode, we're taking a look at one of the best tracks to come out of the 3DS and the last standing course after over 2 years of lowering the mark. DK Jungle at 200cc. On May 27, 2017, the world record for this run was set at 1 minute 30.404 seconds by the German player Robel. Fast forward to February 27, 2022, and the record was brought down to 1 minute 27.689 seconds by the Australian player Panda. That's a 2.7 second improvement between records and a 3% faster time. Our former world record holder Robel has quite literally broken one world record, and it's the one I just described to you. He's made 0 marks on any other part of the game and was still able to go at least 8 days holding at least one world record. Our current world record holder Panda has broken over 220 world records across 31 unique runs and has just passed 1,000 days holding at least one of his 10 current world records. At pre-release, this record was incredibly slow, and within a few days it was already into the low 130s, mostly thanks to Jimmy. Shortly after Robel's lone record, Irish player Kevin stepped in and brought the time down under 130 for the first time. Now in August, American player Azusa stepped in and took a few more tenths off the record, after which Dutch player Esper and Japanese player Torain collectively took another few tenths off the record before Azusa and Kevin got back into it towards the end of 2017. Our Irish friend would start the new year off with the first 128 ever recorded, and it stayed as the world record for over 300 days. Now at the end of 2018, Esper stepped back up and dropped 14 consecutive records over the next 6 months. Over that time, he'd improved the world record by over half a second, and nearly 300 days after his 128.41, Panda stopped that reign and went on his own. 20 consecutive records is what he put up, and he single-handedly took the record well into the 127 range. Currently, he's spent nearly 900 days as the world record holder on this course without losing it. In total, the record was broken 76 times by only 12 different players. The loadouts here are honestly some really great choices for any 200cc run. Robel goes with the combo of Dry Bowser, whipping the pipe frame with the Azure rollers, and the Super Glider. Panda goes with Donkey Kong, driving the Biddy Buggy, also with the Azure rollers and the Paper Glider. Both loadouts here follow the same big character, small components theme. You've got high top speed with Robel holding the advantage, and pretty on par acceleration, handling, and mini turbo stats with Panda holding the edge there. Robel may grip the ground slightly better, but Panda has the best overall loadout here for one key reason: the air handling stat. More on that later. This track is both aesthetically pleasing and has a really good layout for competitive racing at any speed. Through the actual jungle, it can feel a bit congested, but that's where players with great racing lines, unlike myself, shine. Let's dive into what it takes to set a world record here. Robel hits the rocket start out of the gate and immediately chains these 2 quick mini turbos together. After drifting off the zipper ramp, he'll trick off the flower and get the mini turbo before closing out S1 with a long super mini turbo onto the bridge. Panda uses his mushroom at the start before chaining 4 quick mini turbos together all the way off the ramp. After tricking off the flower, he'll go for a tighter super mini turbo onto the bridge to close out the section. Obviously he used a mushroom here, but another decent chunk of Panda's lead is thanks to those additional mini turbos and slightly better line through that very congested first half of S1. He's up on Robel by 9/10 of a second going into S2. After this quick mini turbo, Robel chains another one into the grass patch and uses his mushroom to make the cut and goes off the glider. He then rides off 2 zippers and drifts off the third one for the first of 2 mini turbos he'll get through the temple to close out the section. Panda chains this quick mini turbo for the tiny turn skip, then drifts over a bit of the grass onto the stone path for a trick off the glider. He then starts to drift off the first 2 zipper ramps and gets the mini turbo jump boost combo off the third one. Now in the temple, he'll close out S2 with a tight super mini turbo around the long turn. Hopefully now you're starting to see the subtle time saves that Panda is chaining throughout the course, one of which being he takes that glider cut without using a mushroom. His lead, however, barely jumped up because Robel leveled the field, so to speak, by using his first mushroom. Panda is still ahead by a second going into S3. After a quick jump boost, Robel hops off the glider for a straight flight down. He'll close out the lap with this tight super mini turbo onto the bottom platform and rides straight over the ramp to the finish line. Panda also gets that quick jump boost, but immediately drifts off the glider for a motion glider strat. After flicking around the big stone thingy, he too closes out the lap with that same super mini turbo and fits in the jump boost before crossing the finish line. So to sum it up, we have tighter lines, subtle turn skips, and motion glider stuff. Those are the key differences between Robel's 2017 run and Panda's current world record, all of which contribute to his maintained 1 second lead after lap 1. Into lap 2, Robel similarly chains those same 2 mini turbos before drifting off the zipper ramp for another mini turbo and jump boost off the flower. He'll close out S1 with that same super mini turbo before the bridge. Panda also copies his lap 1 approach by grabbing this 4 mini turbo chain from the finish line up to the flower where he'll pair it with a jump boost. After he lands, he'll drift tight around the long turn before the bridge and get a super mini turbo. Nothing really changed from what we saw through S1 on the first lap. We just saw Panda continue to build his lead thanks to those tiny turn skips and additional mini turbos. He's ahead by nearly 1.3 seconds at the end of S1. After this quick mini turbo off the bridge, Robel drifts even tighter onto this grass patch and uses his mushroom to just ride over the grass instead of the glider ramp. After which, he'll ride off all 3 zipper ramps into a quick mini turbo, then grabs this long super mini turbo around the turn to close out the section. Panda also gets this quick mini turbo, then drifts onto the grass patch. He'll use his second mushroom to complete the cut by tricking off the glider. Once he lands, he'll drift off these zipper ramps and carry a super mini turbo up to the start of the temple. After which, he'll grab another super mini turbo to close out S2. That time, we saw both players take that same shortcut, but Panda tacked on that extra jump boost which helped him execute that cut just a little bit faster. That simple time save paired with his better line helped increase his lead to just over 1.6 seconds at the end of S2. After this jump boost, Robel hops straight off the glider for a direct flight down, then closes out the lap with that same super mini turbo onto the lower path before riding straight off the ramp and making his way towards the finish line. After grabbing a jump boost, Panda starts drifting and carries the mini turbo off the ramp for a motion glider. He'll flick his controller in the air to whip around this totem as he makes his descent. Afterwards, he too grabs that quick mini turbo onto the lower platform and adds the jump boost just before the finish line. Remember when I said air handling would be important? The motion glider is why. The technique itself grants better air handling and speed by default, but Panda's loadout allowed him to reap even more of a benefit from doing a motion glider. Just one of the many ways he's killing Robel's former world record right now, and his lead certainly reflects that. He's up by 1.7 seconds after outsplitting Robel's lap by 0.6 of a second. Into the final lap, we see Robel chain these 2 quick mini turbos before realigning and grabbing another one off the ramp with a jump boost. Once he lands, he'll grab the super mini turbo around this long turn before the bridge and chain that with another set of mini turbos into the grass patch for one final mushroom cut. Next, he'll ride off all 3 zippers and get the normal mini turbo before getting a super one around that next long turn in the temple. After getting the jump boost, he'll ride straight off the glider and grab that last super mini turbo around the final turn before coming across the finish line off the bottom platform. Panda starts off lap 3 by chaining those same 4 mini turbos all the way up to the flower where he'll grab another jump boost with optimal positioning. Next up is that tight super mini turbo before chaining 2 more through that grass patch and using a mushroom to actually make the cut. After drifting off the following zippers, Panda grabs another super mini turbo and hits a jump boost before hitting one last motion glider off the very narrow glider ramp. Once he lands, he'll grab one more super mini turbo onto the bottom platform and skip the final jump boost to close out the race. A race he won very convincingly as his time was a full 2.7 seconds faster than Robel's former world record. So by performing a bunch of tiny turn skips, staying on a better line all throughout the course, and motion glider, Panda was able to cap off his 20th consecutive world record on this track and finally break into the 0.6 territory. Since his initial record in March of 2020, he's taken over 0.7 of a second off that time and set up one of the longest ongoing world record reigns in the game. I got the chance to speak with him a little bit about that, so let's hear what he had to say. What was going through your mind when you set this world record?
I was pretty happy with it once I saw the time.
Is there any particular part of the course that's way harder to do than the others, or is the difficulty spread out pretty evenly amongst the entire track?
In terms of difficulty, I would say the shroom cut is still the hardest part for me.
Do you see this record going down to 0.5, or is it going to stay at 0.6 for quite a while?
Oh, I can definitely push this record down further as time goes on.
Thanks for hopping on the show for a quick Q&A. Best of luck on improving the record further. The best known splits for this run show that as fast as Panda has made this record, there's still a decent chunk of improvement that can theoretically be made here. He and Alberto share the best known sometime, but Panda's opening lap of his own world record is that best known split. Those other 2 laps each have around 4 to 6 frames that can be knocked off for a grand total of 158 milliseconds of improvement. Knowing another 10th can be knocked off is very enticing to time trialers because they want to be the first person there. Will it be Panda or perhaps another challenger flying under their radar? The worldwide top 10 consists of 7 national and 4 continental record holders. Panda sits at the top with the only 127 in the world, Asian record holder Piku is down there in second, and just half a tenth back in third is Army. Spanish record holder Alberto is down there in fourth, and Dutch record holder Alpaco rounds out the top 5. The next 4 on this board share just 8/100ths of a second in separation and consist of Esper, Jimmy, Vincent, and Grace. Down there in 10th is German record holder Lufti. Looking at the separation Panda has on everyone else here almost doesn't even feel real. He's got over half a second on the next fastest person, and he's held the record for nearly 900 days already without losing it. That makes it pretty safe to assume that nobody is touching this record for quite some time, unless your name happens to be Panda. That's the end of episode 87. Hope you found it interesting. As of today, we've now taken a look at every single course in the game at least once in this series. To close out Season 9, we're going to flip the CCs on the remaining courses and go in random order all the way to the series finale. You're not going to want to miss out on the final few episodes of Lowering the Mark, so stay tuned. As always, if you enjoyed this video, like and share it with your friends, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.